away on the power play, but now we're in everybody's favorite part of international hockey, the shootout.
All right, Canada, USA shootout for the gold medal game. Need we say more? Go word. Okay.
Luke Willson and Keaton Verhoff, the two captains, will conduct the coin toss. And Canada has won it. I'm assuming Canada will go first. There's a statistical advantage to going first in shootouts. So again, it's the IHF rules. It's 5 rounds. If it's still tied after 5, then any player, you can use any player you want as many times as you want. The order reverses, though, every 5 shooters.
What do you mean it reverses?
So Canada shoots first here. After 5, it's the US for 5, and then if it goes that long. All right, so Canada to go first, and it's Dima Zhilkin of the Saginaw Spirit of the Ontario Hockey League. In on Brady Nolan. And Zhilkin winds wide, moves in, and rolls it wide.
You go that slow, you don't even have the goaltender anywhere near back on his heels. If you're looking for an opening, you got to get the goaltender back on his heels with speed. And
now it's Joseph Salandra for the US, played at the Brunswick School last year, will be going to Barrie of the Ontario League next year. The end of Pleasantville, New York. In comes Salandra, scores! Multiple moves there by Salandra to give the US the lead.
Well, earlier in the game, he tried to go between the legs on Betts.
Now the Canadians are arguing here.
Goaltender interference. No, that's a good goal.
All right, so the next shooter for Canada is Ty Lawrence. The playoff MVP of the United States Hockey League last year for the Clark Cup winning Muskegon club. In comes Lawrence, and he's turned away by Nolan.
up and down performance, obviously, for Canada. They fought their way back into that game, but
I love going there every year. My wife and I go. We cannot wait to get up there at Woodbine. Sure, it's going to be ridiculously hot like it is every single year for the most part, but I can't wait to go up. But the idea of me going up with like a knee brace on or something kind of changes the whole vibe. Like it's pretty posh up there, right? Like most people are decked out. I'm going to try to bring my A suit if I can, but A suit with a knee brace over top is really not something many people can pull off. No. Really, very, very few people can pull that look off. So I'm fortunate that that's not going to be the case as of tomorrow. But Eddie Olczyk's coming up. Little Pucks and Ponies with Eddie O.
I tell you.
Always my favorite.
It is one of my favorite segments on OverDrive. I'm happy to be a part of it. I love it when I'm just a listener, when it's whatever, Kentucky Derby time or Triple Crown time. And Pucks and Ponies, man, nobody does it like Eddie O.
Eddie knows everything there is to know, and he is going to hook us up with picks. That's coming up in about 2 hours.
Can't wait.
About an hour from now, Vicky Mboko is coming up. Vicky Mboko, and she's going to throw out the first pitch tonight. That's what I was told, which always makes me nervous for anybody. Like, what's it going to look like? Make sure you got your, just try to get it as close to whoever's catching. I'm curious who they'll have behind home plate tonight. Feels like a Vladdy night. Kind of feels like this is a big one. You get Vicky Mboko out, local kid, just won the National Open, going to the U.S. Open. And we've had these conversations, a couple of months ago, and we were doing SportsCenter hits on, Shea versus McDavid. And I'm curious if Mboko, if she pulls off a U.S. Open, can she get in the chat with Shea? Is it even possible to start talking athlete of the year if she, because when Andreescu won, she had won in Toronto, and then she won the U.S. Open, and it was like, checkmate, done. No one else is competing with that. Maybe, again, I'm putting a cart before the horse here. Because it's happened before, that might flatten it a little bit. The fact that Andreescu, again, won in Toronto. I think she won at Indian Wells that year, too.
That's right.
And then she won the U.S. Open and was the first Canadian to ever win a slam. But I don't know. I mean, Shea's won a, athlete of the year, Northern Star athlete of the year before, and Mboko clearly has not. I don't know. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on her, but the idea of her going down to the U.S. Open with a lot of buzz right now, find a way to compete, go deep in that tournament, her name's going to ring out by the end of the year. That's for sure.
She's putting herself in the conversation if she does that. But you're right. The fact that it's not unprecedented probably takes a little bit of the shine off. Not that, look, we're, you're nitpicking greatness, right? That's what we're doing here. Shea is just going to be difficult to knock off the pedestal this year, right? Because you talk about never been done before. How about, now we've had a Canadian MVP before, and Shea was that. He joined Steve Nash in that category. But we've never had a Canadian MVP that wins the NBA scoring title, wins the finals MVP, and is the best player on a team that wins an NBA championship. I mean, that's and we may never have it again.
That is 100% valid. Yeah, what Shea Gilgeous-Alexander accomplished this year, scoring title. He did stuff that very few players in NBA history have ever done.
Right.
Like Jordan and Kareem and Shaq or something like that.
Depending on how you shake it out.
Yeah, scoring title, MVP, finals MVP, championship, best record. These are all, there are somewhat arbitrary lines, but not really. I mean, it's not like you're talking score the most points on a Tuesday in March.
Right.
That's the truly arbitrary stuff where you can kind of
you can pick and choose.
You can pick and choose, and you can pit people together a little bit easier. These are bold numbers that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander represented this year. So I guess I'm just trying to make it more interesting. I'm trying to drive it into a world where there's still, because Summer McIntosh clearly made a lot of noise.
4 golds and a bronze.
Yeah, she made a lot of noise, and I think it's so weird that because she didn't win the 5th, she's out of the running. But it kind of feels that way, where maybe she had to do something that was, is uncharted territory.
Probably in almost any other year of the whatever it is, the near century this award's been around, Summer wins for what she just did at the Worlds. And if Mboko goes to the U.S. Open and even maybe gets to the final after winning the National Open and getting, having a good run at a U.S. Open, she'd probably be the winner too. If you go through the years.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, we're just in such an extraordinary period here where we get so many world-class performers.
Yeah.
And it's not just in Olympic years, and it's not just in winter sports, and we've got world-class performers at so many levels in so many sports. It's just it's tough to compete.
It is tough to compete. And, we're speaking of the world, the World Cup is on its way next year, and I guess the Argos were presenting some news today. I'm sure they were aware of this for quite some time, but next year they're going to have to play 3 home games on the road next year, one of which will be in Winnipeg, which I find wild because, it just seems like Hamilton would be the perfect fit. Like, find a way to make Hamilton work 3 times.
Right.
And, people in Winnipeg, they love Toronto, so I'm sure they'll be very supportive of when the Argos roll through town as a home team. But I get Argos fans are going to be up in arms. I understand it. But this really is not that hard to figure out.
No.
Like, it's the World Cup. Obviously, the Argos have to move somewhere else. Like, it's unfortunate, but it's simple. And TFC, they're going to be on a break. There'll be an international break. But in some hypothetical world where they were supposed to play home games, they wouldn't be playing either. No. They'd be out of here. And when the stadium was originally built, it was built for soccer.
Right.
And it's the World Cup. We've never hosted it before. It's going to – I'm not sure the city, I'm not sure the country, I'm not sure I am prepared for what exactly is en route here. Like, we are less than a year away from what will likely be the largest event we will ever host in the history of the city.
You're right.
And, we've never had an Olympic Games. I don't know if we ever will. We had the Pan Am Games, and those went well, but it's nowhere close to the same status. But this is just, I think, almost an appetizer for what's about to come. Because it's going to be all World Cup all the time. It's going to completely encapsulate the city. There's going to be nothing else that will be mattering. And the crazy thing is the Jays are, I believe, going to be playing at times while the World Cup, clearly it's during their season and it's a different stadium, but they are going to be pushed aside to an extent, in terms of the pecking order of the city. And I'm sure where the resources are going and making sure that the accommodations are there for whoever's going to be going to these World Cup games. It's about the world basically joining us in our city. That's what's coming.
Exactly.
So it sucks for the Argos, but I'm sorry, I'm not that empathetic. Like, it's totally understandable, and you knew it was coming. You can't have football games there during the World Cup. It's not going to happen.
No.
So someone had to go play somewhere else. That's the way it is.
And it's just the way of the world.
Like, it's not an amateur thing, like you're going to see that. This is so amateur. No, it's not. It's the World Cup. You got to play somewhere else. I'm sorry, you're out.
Well, it's not even, it's an in-house thing because MLSE, who owns the Argos, is heavily involved with what's going on with the World Cup, obviously.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not like there's not internal consultation. There's just no other option.
There's no option. Like, it would be great if they could find someone else in the city. Exactly.
We don't have a stadium.
Exactly. But could you play at Varsity Stadium, or could you go old school and go up to York University and sell tickets and make it feel like a tailgate or something like that? Could you make it feel collegiate? I don't know.
But then you're out of but then the CFL kind of parameters of the TV production stuff and the light, the power of the lights and all that stuff.
Totally, it's not ideal.
TSN thing, obviously. You need a CFL level field.
Right.
You can't just go play at any old field. And so, I'm sure you could have played at University of Guelph or McMaster University. There's football fields.
Yeah.
But you need everything else that goes with it.
Right. The infrastructure that comes with being a professional operation. Right. I get it. It's just, it's such a unique scenario. You're talking this will never likely happen again unless for whatever reason they have to make upgrades to BMO in the future, which is possible. But
hey, man, if the Athletics are playing in Sacramento and the Rays are playing in a spring training facility in Tampa, we saw Mullet Arena hosting NHL games. The University.
Well, see, but that's I guess what I'm saying is, like if they've made it work elsewhere, it is. But I guess that's my point, and I get it's pie in the sky stuff. But maybe it feels like it may have been an opportunity for the Argos to connect to the city in a weird way by offering up 3 very unique sporting experiences. We're going to have 3 home games at, again, Varsity Stadium or something, or up at York and it's going to be very different. It's going to be, yes, you're going to have to, it's easy for me to say it's not my money, but you're going to chew on it a little bit. It's, $10 tickets and general admission, and everyone come out, and we're going to find a way to make this feel very, very unique because, we got to turn lemons into lemonade here because we're out. We can't play at our stadium. It feels like that may have been a missed opportunity, but
yeah,
at the same time, to your point, it's professional. It's the CFL. The players may have said, well, what's this? This is rinky-dink or whatever. But that's just a reality, man. You start hosting the World Cup, it overlaps with when other teams are playing, the
There's
World
not
Cup
much
wins.
else-
Yeah,
not much
it's
else you can do.
very, very simple. That pitch has got to be pristine. Pristine. It has to be perfect.
And it probably won't be.
And that's unfortunately the concern is like, is it going to be up to the standards of what we've seen in Qatar, what we saw in Brazil and elsewhere? I don't know.
Who knows?
But
You do hear a lot of complaining about the pitches at major international soccer events.
yeah,
So
especially in North America.
if they complain about ours, it won't be the first time.
No, and it'll be the same thing when they go to places in the States.
Right.
You know, like they're playing the final at MetLife, I believe.
I believe so.
That stadium is horrendous.
No, you have to cart in the turf has to be brought in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's awful. Like the
So-
Jets and Giants, and no fans like it. The media doesn't like it. It's in Jersey. It's not even in New York. But
Yeah, you can see New York, but
Yeah.
you ain't in New York.
you're not in New York. When you're at MetLife, you're not in New
No.
York. So anyway, the Jays are in action, of course, tonight. Jacob deGrom on a mound with the Rangers in town, and the Rangers are. It's perfect that they're a 500 club. They have a great staff, great defense, and they can't hit. Like it's just completely balanced lineup, and deGrom is an example of that tonight. You know, he's as good as it gets when he's on his game. And I am curious to see how the Jays, attack him tonight. And you got Bassett, which I think it sets up well because, he could probably use a little bit of a boost. And it's not that the Rangers are incapable of supplying offense, but you look at their numbers, they're not powerhouse team offensively. There's a pretty good chance this is going to be a pitching and defense type of weekend. But, I think the Jays are probably up for that.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a pitching and defense weekend because you look at the starters for the Rangers. Of the 6 guys that are the top 6 favorites to win the AL Cy Young, the Rangers have 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Uvalde's 4th, and deGrom is 6th
Right.
in the odds right
And
now.
Kelly's pretty damn good, too. I don't think
Yeah.
he's pitching this week.
He's not pitching. They get Patrick Corbin tomorrow, the lefty, against Eric Lauer, the Toronto lefty. So, and then on Sunday it's Uvalde Barrios.
Mhm.
So you get you're going to have to do some work to get some runs.
Yeah.
This is not going to be an easy weekend. You're going to have to get great pitching performances from your guys if you want to stay in the games in all likelihood.
Going to feel like it probably did yesterday.
Yeah.
Game against the Cubs. It's going to be low scoring and who can find a clutch hit late in the game. And we just showed it that, Bassett at his splits home and away are staggering.
Crazy.
At home, he's like a Cy Young. He's got Cy Young stuff.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, it's like you don't often see that stark a contrast in anybody.
But it's a good sign that they're playing at the Rogers Center
I'm
tonight.
going to say.
Like, there it is.
Look at
He's
this.
8-0 with a 2.56 ERA at home. His strikeouts per 9.8 at home. On the road, he's 3-6. He's got a 6.39 ERA on the road.
More than double.
6.39 on the road, a 2.56 ERA at home. He walks a million guys on the road compared to at home, and he doesn't strike out many guys on the road. compared to at home.
ERA-wise, he is more than twice as good at home
Yeah,
as he is on the road this season.
yeah. At home, he's like Dave Steve, and on the road, he's Josh Towers.
There you go. That's a good one.
I mean, it's kind of crazy, but they happen to be at home tonight, which is great. All right, Steve Phillips will join us later this hour on Jays Rangers. What else is going on throughout baseball? We'll catch up with Steve. We'll get into this Argos scenario. The Argos are in action in Edmonton tonight, and Luke Wilson's out there. Luke is back online tweeting about the CFL. He took 2 days off, I think it was. I'm not doing it. Not going to keep tweeting about the CFL. 2 days later, he's like, I'm back. Let's do it. So we'll see what Luke has in store for us. Catch up with him in about an hour. And Vicky Mboko, again, I believe, throwing out the first pitch tonight. So she'll join us prior to that, coming up around 5:05, 5:10. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Brian Hayes, Dave Feschuk. We got Steve Phillips coming up here in just a moment. Canada just lost to the Americans at the Gretzky-Hlinka in a shootout. They were down 3-1 at one point. They battled back to tie it up, went to overtime, ends up going to a shootout. And that's the future, man. But there's some players on both teams, clearly, the Americans and the Canadians, that you just know are going to be superstars.
Yeah.
And next year it's the Gavin McKenna draft, but could there be a player or two that could possibly push him aside? Seems far-fetched based on the way he's played in the WHL the last couple of years, and he was good enough to play for the World Juniors last year. I would anticipate he'll just continue to grow and get better and better and better. But it's always interesting when you get to a draft and there's some sort of uncertainty, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, will he be the next McDavid type or Bedard type, where it's just a lock and it's a waste of time to even debate if anyone else can play with him? I don't know. That could possibly happen, and we'll wait and see. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised with some of the talent out there, really throughout the world, if someone else creeps up and has a great year and possibly competes with them.
Yeah, there's, it's these are young kids still, right? It's
very difficult to predict.
A lot can happen in the course of a junior hockey season, right? But McKenna's a lock to be among the top picks.
Absolutely.
Right? If he's
it would be shocking as of today if he didn't go first overall.
Exactly.
Like, he's developed to that point and he's established himself to that point. But crazier things have happened.
Yeah,
in a draft year.
You know, the kid that was the captain of the team, this Keaton Verhoff, real big defenseman, 6'3", 6'4" kid. He's been impressing people in a big way. Will he impress people enough to be the number one pick? Who knows? But it's hard to find big, nice skating, really good, skilled defenseman. And obviously he's kind of established himself as one of those. But
that goes a long way, though.
Yeah.
That's like the Tavares draft. Tavares, Hedman, who do you want? Well, Tavares went first, understandably, great career. Hedman, though, man, tough to pass that up.
That's just it.
So
I mean,
we'll see.
But
we got a long time to figure that out.
Finding the next Hedman, there's been a lot of big-looking dudes that I've heard scouts say could be the next Hedman, who did not turn out to be the next Hedman.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. All right, Jays Rangers tonight. Here's Steve Phillips, our TSN Baseball Insider. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great, guys. Good to be with you.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. So we got the Rangers in town. DeGrom on the mound tonight. And let's begin with yesterday, because I kind of anticipate that these three games, they could play out very similarly to the one that played out yesterday. The Rangers can pitch, they can defend, they don't hit a ton. But yesterday, I think it was like a perfect outing for the Jays. Scherzer goes 7 innings, very efficient. Vladdy with a clutch home run in the 7th inning. Hoffman comes in and closes the door in the 9th. Like, it had a playoff vibe to it. Cubs are a really good team. Like, it just seemed to check every possible box you'd want to check if you were a guy like Ross Atkins or a guy like John Schneider.
Oh, it was playoff baseball. I mean, those two teams both are destined for postseason play. You had outstanding veteran starting pitching going at each other, and it came down to a big at-bat, right? Vladimir Guerrero Jr. delivering. Interesting, they chose to pitch to him instead of walking him in that situation. And, I think that it was, do you want to pitch to Bichette there with 2 runners on? Do you want to pitch to Vladdy? They chose to pitch to Vladdy, and I would have done the same thing, although there are others who thought maybe you walk Vladdy there and you pitch to Bichette. But it was a great game, and Scherzer was fantastic. And I got to tell you, really watching that game, I think Scherzer now with 5 straight starts, I think since the All-Star break, he's 2-2 with a 3.18 ERA. I think the thumb's a non-issue right now. And, I mean, he truly looks like he's only competing against the other team. And he doesn't have that internal thought of, geez, I hope my thumb's going to be okay. His stuff was excellent. His location was excellent. His competitiveness was great. It was a great outing. It was great baseball. And it was a good win. It was a really good win. And Hoffman, he bent a little bit getting the runner on and then the stolen base, but got the swings and misses that he needed, and it was able to save the game.
So, Steve, obviously, when you take on the Texas Rangers, as the Jays will do tonight, down at the Dome in the first of three. You're taking on generally some of the best pitchers, best starting pitchers in baseball. It's Chris Bassett versus Jacob deGrom tonight. They'll face Nathan Eovaldi on Sunday in a game where Barrios will be the starter, and they'll have to take on the lefty Patrick Corbin tomorrow. What is the challenge presented by this incredible Rangers staff, and how do you get to them?
Yeah, I think that what is interesting about this is that in the postseason, there's a reason why home runs are so important, because when you face the best pitchers in the game, who are generally on the best teams in the game, it's very difficult to lump multiple base hits together. You're not going to get 4 singles in an inning to put up a crooked number on the scoreboard. And so you've got to find a way, like yesterday, to get a walk and a home run, a bloop and a bomb, and or somebody makes an error and you hit one off the wall and you pick up a run. And so you have to take advantage of every opportunity. And one of the ways and reasons why the Blue Jays are so good in this sort of a situation, and why they'll play in playoff baseball, and why we've seen teams that have won over the last few years are offenses that make contact, that are difficult to strike out, is that when you get an opportunity to score, you've got to get the runner in from third with less than 2 outs. You got to put it in play. You got to hit a ground ball up the middle that, it's a ground ball. They get the out at first, but the runner comes in. You hit the sacrifice fly. And so you've got to make contact, and you've got to take advantage of every opportunity. So the situational at-bats. So Davis Schneider up yesterday, and Ernie Clement did an excellent job getting the bunt down and getting him over. And then he forced Craig Counsell into a decision. Do you pitch to Vladdy? Do you pitch around him? And he was in scoring position. Vladdy hit it out of the park, but if it was off the wall, they would have scored the run. And so I think it's, you got to take advantage of every opportunity. And the way to beat good pitchers is get them out of the game. Make them throw strikes, don't expand the strike zone, and force them to throw pitches to where they get to their pitch count. You got a chance to get in the bullpen, because, even if you're getting shut down by an ace, it just has that feeling that when you finally get them out of the game, okay, now we're going to score, and you do. And so I think that's got to be the thing. Work deGrom, get his pitch count up, get him out of the game, and take advantage of every opportunity you get.
With Steve Phillips, so George Springer made his AAA debut last night, rehabbing back from the concussion. He will DH tonight, and we believe he'll return to the team tomorrow, which means if he's going to be activated, someone's going to have to come off the 26-man roster. It feels like it's, I would think maybe Schneider, maybe Luke Perfido. I believe both of them have options. How do you see this one playing out? It is a good sign that George is returning, but as a result, this was always coming when Jimenez returned. Now Springer's returning. Someone's going to have to go. How difficult of a decision could this be for Atkins and company?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think about when Santander comes back, if he does, what that becomes, right? I mean, it's a good problem to have. And, then at this point, when you make these kind of decisions, you've got to make sure that you have every situation accounted for. So if you're going to pinch hit, you need somebody to get on base to lead off an inning. Do you have that guy to come off the bench and do it? We saw the John Schneider making moves in that 8th inning yesterday, or the 9th inning, where you ended up with 5 different players, Jimenez coming into the game and moving Clement back over to third, and Barger going out to the outfield, and this guy going here. You've got to make sure that you have everything taken care of. My guess is that Perfido probably is the guy, because you got Nathan Lucas, who sort of serves as that left-handed bat. Schneider gives you a little infield, little outfield, and he's had some really big at bats.
Yeah,
and the catch he made yesterday. How about that catch?
Unreal.
That was amazing. And I didn't know he had it in him, but that was an outstanding play. So my guess is it's probably Perfido. And maybe what they'll do is they'll work some matchups to see if, down the road, if they're going to face a tough right-handed pitcher, then maybe Perfido comes up, Schneider goes down, and they can play with that a little bit as they move forward. But I think that's these are the good problems to have right now. Tough conversations with the players, but good problems to have.
So a lot of eyes on Buffalo these days, Steve, with Springer playing there, with Shane Bieber getting a start. And yesterday we saw the phenom, Trey Savage, who's making an incredible rise through the minor league ranks, starting in low A at the beginning of the year and now all the way up to AAA. And now a lot of speculation that he could indeed play a part in the Blue Jays season from here on out if all things go well. He had his first AAA start it didn't go particularly well. An inning and 2/3, 3 strikeouts, 4 walks. What did you make of the young man's work there, and how does it bode for his major league prospects in your mind?
Yeah, so, it's interesting that because other teams have given these young guys shots in the big leagues, it makes everyone think that well, this has got to be a possibility too. But again, just like, with Springer coming back, somebody's got to go. Then who do you take off the roster to activate him if you do it? And the one thing, he's not going to start, right? That's clear. He's not going to be a starter and supplant any of the starting pitchers on the Jays. So the question is, can he be a weapon out of the bullpen? And if he is, he better throw strikes, right? You don't want to bring a young guy in, have him walk 2 or 3 guys, and then put yourself in a deeper jam. And so that first outing doesn't really play into his level of building confidence for his place at the big league level. So, I think that for me, I would tell him, just this is for your own development. This isn't about you being on a big league club. Just go and get some work and some experience in at this level, but trust your stuff and believe that you can throw it over the plate and get hitters out, that you can throw strike one in the zone and then later in the at-bat expand the zone. But if you go in there thinking I got to miss bats on the first pitch, all you're going to do is find yourself in trouble and giving up a bunch of runs. And so I think this is way more about development than about having him be an option for the major league team. Now, for Bieber, it's getting him ready. Manoah, not part of the equation for me at all.
No.
I mean, at 91 miles per hour, his stuff's not there. So I'm excited about Trey Yasevich and what he's going to be. I think he's got a chance to be a really good prospect. But the idea of then transitioning him out of the bullpen and, do you do that? I'm moving, 2 of the starters that aren't in the rotation for the postseason into the bullpen, and they're going to get the ball for me before I would give it to a young guy who's just kind of finding his way.
With Steve Phillips, our TSN baseball insider. So Milwaukee is in Cincinnati tonight. They've won 12 games in a row. And what are they, 30-4 or something in the last 34 games? It's something absurd. It's kind of crazy to even ask this, considering recency bias has to apply. But are you buying this? And, are they, in your opinion, the Brewers, the clear-cut best team in baseball?
Yeah, I think they are right now. They're playing that way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And again, we know in the postseason that it's not the best team that wins. It's the team that plays the best, because all of them have the ability on any night to beat the other team if they play their best baseball and the other team doesn't. So, but the Brewers are legit. I mean, they've got, Mizorowski's back on the mound tonight, the 6'7" phenom who throws 103. Is back on the mound tonight in that rotation after Brandon Woodruff threw the other day to clinch the 12th win in a row, where everybody got hamburgers in Milwaukee from the local diner. We know Freddie Peralta is an ace, and he was outstanding in his start as well. And they lined him up to be able to pitch against the Cubs the next time they play him. And so they've got 3 dominant starting pitchers. They've got swing and miss stuff at the end of the game. They are a great defensive team. They manufacture runs. They're one of the best base running teams in baseball. They steal bases. They take extra bases. They don't make mistakes. They play a really clean caliber of baseball, and they're a contact hitting team. So they've got a lot going right now. They don't hit a lot of home runs. I think they're ranked 19th in home runs, but they're second in runs scored, which is interesting, which tells you how they really manufacture. But as I talked earlier, it's tougher to manufacture against the good pitchers in the postseason. So the home run becomes important. And that's the one Achilles heel that they have, that if they get limited on opportunities, can they hit the ball in the ballpark and try to come back and win a game?
You look at Vladdy post All-Star break, Steve. I mean, the stats are really jumping off the page. I mean, he's second in Major League Baseball in OPS, only to Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he's in the top 7 in home runs. He's in the top 4 in on-base percentage. He's third in hits overall. I mean, he's racking up numbers post All-Star break that just weren't there pre All-Star break. I mean, when you watch him, when you sort of observe what's gone on up here from afar, what stands out to you about what's changed for Vladdy?
It's just, I think it's only ever confidence with him. I really do. I think when he's really comfortable, he's able to wait a little bit and stay back and hunt the bottom of the baseball. When he's not overly comfortable, he kind of gets out a little bit and he gets the weight shift over, sort of balanced over the middle instead of keeping it back. and he can still hit the ball really hard because he's got great bat speed. His exit velocities are good, but it changes the launch angle of his swing. And so when he commits early and his body gets out in front a little bit, it's hard at that point to sort of turn and get the bottom of the baseball. When he stays back, he can get the bottom of the baseball. And I think he's confident now. He's seeing the ball well. He's letting it travel, and that's why we're seeing him start to lift the baseball a little bit more. And it's coming at just the right time, right? I mean, the complementary players have really sparked this team. Bichette sparked this team. Springer sparked this team. And now Vladdy is getting into a mode where, you know, he's taking advantage of the opportunities. If somebody's on first base now, they're in scoring position with Vladdy at the plate.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible the numbers he's putting up. You know, you mentioned including Ohtani, but in terms of the American League, like he's number one across the board.
Yeah.
You know, an OPS, average, extra base hits, total base, everything. You know, he's just and it's, you know, maybe that's what we need to start preparing for in the future is like a slower start, and that's probably the sign of a great player. Is a slow start should not terrify anybody. Mm-hmm. Like he's capable of turning things around. And this is like the second half last year he did it too.
Brian.
Yep.
Yeah, his slow start is still really good. It's
Absolutely.
Just not great.
Right.
I mean, at his worst, he's still a very good hitter.
Mm-hmm.
At his best, he's one of the best in the game. And so you're right. I mean, so, you know, the idea is if he can just get heated up a little bit earlier, then the numbers have a chance to go off the charts with it. But he's at 20 homers right now. And, you know, with Springer back and if he's got everything right and Bichette's doing his thing, this team's got a lot of ways to score runs, and they're a very good defensive team, as we know. And, you know, my big question is just the bullpen. It's the one area where I just worry that they're vulnerable. And, you know, that's why I've suggested Barrios going out there. Now, other people in baseball think I'm crazy. You know, I was on my show today with Eduardo Perez. He goes, "Nah, I can't do that to Barrios. He's one of your better starters." I'm like, I said, you know, and he said it's too much of a panic move on your bullpen. I said, I just want somebody who gets out. I don't care about panic. I just, you know, when Hoffman got out of it yesterday, but he also walked 5 guys the other day.
Yeah.
And I don't feel overly comfortable with him. Game on the line, World Series, 9th inning. Barrios just has a belly full of guts for me. I love the kid. I think they got a resilient arm, and that sweeper of his is a put-away pitch. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. They've got some tough decisions to make about their starting rotation. You know, if you go with a 4-man rotation in the postseason, who are those 4? I think it's, you know, for me it would be Scherzer and Bassett and Bieber and Gosman, and I would have Lauer and Barrios in the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they have the courage to do that, though.
No, well, that's it. Like someone's coming out. You know, someone's not getting the ball to start the game. I mean, that's just a reality. And even if they end up in a wild card scenario, it's even less than that. At most, 3 guys are getting the ball.
Exactly.
And, you know, you mentioned Bassett. We were just talking about him with the start tonight. His splits at home, he's been phenomenal. He's got like a 2.50 ERA at home, and he's got a 6.40 on the road. He's a mess on the road. So that would have to factor in too, right, Steve? Like if you get to a point where, again, if let's say they get to the ALDS, but if you're the top seed, Game 3 and Game 4 on the road, are you putting Bassett on the road, considering the way he's pitched this year? I'm not sure you can.
Well, here's the thing. I guess it comes down to if you're a wild card team, then then he might have to start. And if it's at home, then great. It works out just fine for you. Because if he's the 3rd or 4th starter, then he's likely going to pitch the games at home, and it's not the worst thing at all. But and he can pitch Game 2 and 7 if you need him to do it. So I think there's a lot of different ways they can go. Somebody's going to have hurt feelings, and they've got to put it aside for the best interests of the team. But this is a great problem to have too many starting pitchers to try to figure out which of the 6 are going to fit for you.
Absolutely. Yep. Good sign of where things are going here. Jays Rangers starting tonight. All right, Steve, have a great weekend. We'll do it again soon.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
There is Steve Phillips. You too. RTS. People suggested, like, I don't know, it would be uncomfortable for him, but it's going to be uncomfortable for any of these guys. You know, and like Scherzer is the guy that it seemed to make the most sense based on his attitude and his approach. Yet the flip side of that is he smacks Scherzer, and they're not going to do that to him. Like, unless he would agree to it.
I also think he's old, and he's going to need a long time to warm up.
Well, that's another big part of it as well. Because you got to put him in a position to succede.
Right.
And I think he get hurt. You know, and again, when Springer shows up tomorrow, Someone's going down. Lou Perfito, Schneider, someone's going down that has contributed over the last 2 months.
I was going to say, someone's going down who doesn't deserve to go down.
Doesn't deserve to go down.
Has done nothing wrong. And in fact, has done a lot of things right.
Absolutely. And that's the tough reality of pro sports.
Yeah.
Springer's playing. You know, when Varsho arrived, he's playing. Someone's leaving. And if Santander, this is the truth, he's playing.
Oh, yeah.
The financial commitment they've made to him. Now, I'm not bracing for his return. But let's say he got into cage today and started hacking and said, give me a month, I'll be back.
I feel good.
He's going to be playing.
For sure he is. Because he's the guy. I mean, there's a reason you got him aboard the team, with your biggest offseason acquisition, because you felt you needed that power bat that he was supposed to supply.
Absolutely.
And you may still need it.
You may need it. You may need it. But, yeah, that bullpen, they got to figure that out. It sounds like Jimmy Garcia is still not in a great position either. So I don't know if he's going to be an option the rest of the way.
Yeah,
right.
man. It's exciting, though. When you're talking about this type of stuff.
Yeah, when you're projecting a rotation in the playoffs in August, it's a good sign. Vicky Mboko in about 25 minutes. Luke Willson coming up from Edmonton as well. Elks Argos tonight. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
My bad habits lead to late nights, sitting alone, conversations with a stranger I barely know.
All right, Vicky Mboko coming up. Luke Willson will join us. We've got more tickets to give away for the LPGA Tour that's in town tomorrow, or next week. Next week out of Mississauga. Kings play tomorrow. I'm getting all my dates mixed up. Kings play tomorrow, LPGA next week. Plan on hitting both. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a blast, man.
Great events.
Yeah.
Kings Play, it's hard to beat.
It's a great vibe there. Like, you just, everyone's all dolled up, and it's a party. And if you get great weather, you get all these different races. You win a little bit of money, probably lose a little bit of money.
Yeah.
But ultimately, everyone goes home happy.
I've gone home from the Kings Plate having lost a little
some
bit of money.
Yeah.
More often than winning a little bit of money.
My issue is generally, in my experience, I might hit a winner early on. And then it's like, all right, now I think I know what I'm doing.
You got swagger.
Yeah. So now I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to spread it out over all these different races. And then I end up eventually actually losing. But
maybe you should get some advice from Eddie O at 6:05.
That's my plan. Eddie Olczyk, Pucks and Ponies. Get into a number of things with Eddie, but definitely hammer the Kings Plate and see what he's got for us. And again, Luke Willson coming up in Edmonton with the Argos playing the Elks tonight. So we'll get his take on that. I'm sure he's got a take on this World Cup stuff, which I get it sucks. If you're an Argos fan, it sucks. If you're a season ticket holder, if you're the team, I get it. Next summer, the World Cup's taking over. That building, no one's going close to that building for about 2 months.
It's going to be like a cordoned off, no-go area.
No-go area.
Heavily secured.
And the Argos are not going to be playing there.
No.
And they're going to miss out on 3 games. But that's just the way it is. The World Cup is going to precede everything else. World Cup is going to own this city. So we'll catch up with Luke on that and more still to come into the next hour. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
It's Mail It In Friday.
The plant called and said if you don't come in tomorrow, don't bother coming Monday.
Woohoo! 4-day weekend.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Brian Hayes, Dave Feschuk of the Toronto Star. We've got Vicky Mboko coming up in the next 10 minutes. Likely live from the Dome ahead of the game tonight, throwing out the first pitch, which will be awesome. Friday night, Jays are on fire. The Dome's going to be packed, Dome open. Local hero, throwing out the first pitch. You can't beat it.
I was going to say, it might not be like the night that Mike Weir dropped the puck at the old Air Canada Center.
It was after in the playoffs too, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Or was it just before the playoffs?
Just before the playoffs, but what a moment.
That was incredible.
Mike still talks about that as one of the great moments of his life.
Well, rocking the green jacket.
He shows up in the green jacket.
Andy Frost with the build up.
Oh, yeah, Andy Frost did a great job.
And he was laying it on thick that night.
As he had to.
Absolutely.
I mean, Andy understood the magnitude of the moment.
Big time.
And that place went nuts in a way that it rarely has, man. Like the Leafs haven't gotten it that loud, and they certainly weren't getting it that loud at that time. And man, what a moment! But I mean, I think Vicky Mboko is going to get a hell of an ovation tonight,
as she should, for sure. And you know, they're still wrapping up down in Cincinnati, but it's almost go time at the U.S. Open.
Yeah,
which like New York's got something set up here because they've got the U.S. Open, which they obviously host every year. Then the Ryder Cup later in September. Yankees and Mets. The Mets are a mess.
Oh,
like they are a mess.
I was watching them last night, man. They just look like they're never going to win again.
Yeah, and that city's completely turning on Juan Soto. Completely turning on them. But they're lucky because like everyone hates Aaron Boone a little bit more, and the Yankees are a little bit bigger and more important and get a little bit more play. And the Yankees aren't necessarily helping themselves right now either. You know, they're like Cleveland's right behind them.
I know.
Right behind them. There's no guarantees they even make the playoffs. What a story that would be if the Mets and the Yankees both missed, considering how hot their start was.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of people that just are starting to believe the Yankees won't make it. I mean, and there's a lot of reason to believe that they maybe won't. Like, there's a real tailspin, and Judge can't carry him like he was carrying him earlier in the year, now with this elbow injury, and he's not what he was. And I mean, the weird thing is Stanton's been pretty good. You know, they've had some decent performances from a lot of their guys, but the pitching has been great, and they just don't have any sort of magic going. It's just been an absolute grind for the Yankees.
Well, it is, you know, one of the big topics in baseball the last month or so has been how loud the lockout kind of rumors are and what could be happening in that somewhat infamous, you know, face-to-face meeting with Manfred and Bryce Harper in Philly, and Harper telling him to get the hell out of the clubhouse if he's going to talk about a salary cap. And I guess then Max Scherzer said, we haven't seen him yet, but I'm looking forward to catching up with Rob too. And meanwhile, like Scherzer likely is done and retired by that point. He will not be getting locked out 2 years from now. I don't think he will still be playing. But still, Scherzer's a pretty passionate guy, clearly. They're all union guys, and they love the players and the association and all that. And, you know, it's deeply rooted in the economics, and they sell it as it's best for the fans and it's fair for everybody. But if you look at, like, baseball right now, the Yankees and the Mets, that's the biggest market in pro sports, maybe the biggest market in the world in sports in New York. Yankees have a half-game lead on Cleveland.
Yeah.
And the Mets have a half-game lead on Cincinnati. So there's a chance the city of New York is punched out of the playoffs collectively by Cleveland and Cincinnati. The state of Ohio is going to knock New York out.
Yeah.
And then you get the Mariners red hot. You got the Jays red hot. But you got the Cubs in there, the Dodgers in there, the Sox in there. Like, it's what else do you want if you're baseball? Like, I get it's deeper with the economics, and there's certain owners that are powerhouse owners, and there's other guys who are crying poor and all that kind of stuff. I get it. And it's not that the league is perfect. But look what's happening. You have the Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Cubs, all in playoff spots or fighting for playoff spots. And then conversely, you have markets like Milwaukee in Cincinnati, in Cleveland, in Toronto, which is a massive market, but it's Canadian.
Yes.
Compared to the Americans, clearly. So it just seems like a beautiful balance. You got Detroit, Houston. Like, look what's going on in baseball right now.
I agree.
What a setup.
No,
what a stretch run we're going to have.
I mean, we all know what the salary cap's all about. It's not about parity.
No.
It never has been. There's been plenty of parity in baseball. Look at the Tampa Bay Rays have been a great example of parity. How they've been operating on a minuscule budget relatively and always finding ways to become relevant, right? And maybe a little less so this year, but they've had great years. And it's the money.
But protecting the owners. The owners protecting themselves from each other.
It's obviously about the owners having cost certainty, and it's about the owners looking at the other sports and envying what the NFL's built with a salary cap, what the NBA has built with a harder and harder salary cap that has suddenly really changed the economics of basketball, and what Gary Bettman has done with the hardest of all the salary caps, where player salaries have been so suppressed, it's kind of laughable how little NHL players make compared to their brethren in the other three major sports. That's what it is. It's about it's about the baseball owners looking at the other leagues and saying, why can't we have that?
Right. And a lot of them are crossover owners, right, that own in other leagues. And they're like, I can see the books. Like the guy in Toronto is a great example. He's got access to every book possible outside of the NFL.
Fenway Group in Boston, they own the Red Sox, they own the
Penguins. They know everything. They know the way it works in these other sports and how they benefit maybe from that salary cap. And I get it. I understand where the owners are possibly coming from. It's somewhat disappointing that there is this kind of doomsday looming, which again is still a couple years away. But I don't think you could pencil a better scenario. There's no, maybe you'd want one team to look, be chasing 116 wins or something like that. Like maybe you'd want that, and who knows? Maybe the Brewers just never lose again, and they actually do that.
Yeah.
But in reality, you've got the best of every possible world. You've got New York, L.A., Boston, Chicago. Those are your biggest markets in terms of sports and in terms of legacy teams. And then, like I just said, you've got Cleveland,
very
Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Toronto, Detroit. You got everyone else.
I mean,
it's just a great setup right now. And the Jays, they've got Milwaukee coming to town later this month. That's possibly a preview of the World Series.
Could be.
Like we could have a Blue Jays Brewers World Series. And that would be a beautiful thing up here. I don't know how everyone in the States would feel, but who cares?
Nobody cares.
We wouldn't.
No, if the Dodgers don't snap out or whatever's ailing them, a lot of pitching injuries and a lot of other woe down in Chavez Ravine. Maybe it'll be the Padres. There's a lot of baseball to be played.
Yes, and there's been a lot of turnover. I saw Jeff Passan tweet out yesterday, I think it was, when you compare the standings on June 14th compared to August 14th. So that's 2 months. It's a lot of baseball, but there's an all-star break in there. There's a trade deadline in there. And the Dodgers are out. Padres are in terms of leading their division.
Mm-hmm.
The Cubs are out. The Brewers are in. The Mets are out. The Phillies are in. And the Yankees are out. The Jays are in.
Yeah.
The only two teams that are still consistently holding on to their top spot in their division is the Astros and the Tigers. The Tigers are clear-cut. They're gone. But the Astros are not. Seattle's right behind them.
That's right.
Like, there's a chance by the end of the weekend the Mariners have passed them.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of kind of crazy ebbs and flows to this season. And I think the Blue Jays are a microcosm of that, where they did not start strong. There was a lot of unpredictability. And then all of a sudden, they've been red hot for about 2.5 months, and now they're legitimately in a World Series conversation.
As it should be.
I think there'll be more in ebbs and flows over the next month and a half.
Yeah, because
in fact, I know there will be.
For sure there will, because as Steve Phillips pointed out, the one thing about the Blue Jays is there's some uncertainty in the bullpen. And the bullpen, it tends to define the way your win-loss record goes in big games, right? Let's be honest here. There's a reason why teams emphasize the bullpen so much nowadays, and why so many great World Series championship teams have just had these bulletproof bullpens that have kind of carried them through playoff runs, right? So, yeah, the Blue Jays have got some work to do to as Steve pointed out, a lot of questions to answer in terms of how they're going to create that bulletproof bullpen they're going to need if they're going to get the third World Series flag hanging at the Dome in franchise history. But there's a plausible path to it happening.
Doesn't it seem like it's more about Hoffman in particular?
Yeah.
Like, that's really what it's about.
That's the one that scares you.
Yeah, it's not, like Varland, I think, has been pretty good since he came over here. And, Dominguez got them out of a jam yesterday, and he's had, I guess, a couple of,
a little bit of wildness here and there.
A little bit of hiccups here or there, but for the most part, he's been pretty good. Little's been very good all year consistently. Like, it feels like it's more about Hoffman. Because,
well, that's what we were saying at the trade deadline, right? Could you find a reliever that could supplant Hoffman as the ninth inning?
And they did not do that.
They did not.
Which is why I think we still have the kind of reservations that we have.
Right.
Because Hoffman is still likely going to be the highest leverage pitcher you're going to go to. And, his stats for the last couple of months have actually been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But he is prone to giving up home runs. And that performance he had in L.A. a few days ago was historically bad.
That was really bad.
And that was more on Schneider putting him back out there. I don't know why. Like, it was a 7, 8, 9 hitters. We don't have to relive it, but still, it was kind of crazy. But then there's a scenario where Mason Fluharty comes in and strikes out Ohtani and Betts.
I know.
To end up finding a way to win the game.
That was a big moment.
That was an incredible moment.
Yeah.
I don't think Fluharty's going to be really a part of the program come October. He might be, but I think Little's your lefty, and maybe Fluharty's a part of that as well. But maybe Eric Lauer's a part of it.
Hey, man, you put a couple more moments like that together in the way Fluharty did.
That was a ballsy move.
You put yourself into the conversation, right? Because it's like Steve was saying. Like, I think at this time of year, Steve was talking about Barrios as a closer or
high leverage guy,
a high leverage reliever at the very least, right? And his thing was like, he's got a belly full of guts, right? Like, a lot of this it goes beyond the stats, right?
Yes.
It goes to situational belief. In this situation, do I believe in this guy? It's not about looking at his ERA. It's not about looking at his whip. It's not about looking at. I mean, those things are factoring in.
But this is what we talked about yesterday.
Exactly.
There has to be a human element to it. That's what, like, the Bieber conversation is a perfect example of that.
Right.
They are trusting that if he's at his height, that he can be a killer on the mound for you. And more so than a guy who is consistently healthy and has been here every single day for years.
Yeah.
A guy like Bassett or a guy like Barrios.
Yeah.
Possibly Gausman. Maybe if they're all healthy and Gausman's looking at this saying, maybe I should be the game one starter. Probably not. Might be Shane Bieber, who has no history here. Still has not made it up here yet. He's starting tonight, I believe, down in Buffalo. And then maybe that's his last start down there. And then he does join the team. And maybe we have a different viewpoint of this. But you're right. A lot of that is going to be, I know he's got this type of stuff, but what kind of attitude is he going to bring to the mound, or what kind of, approach is he going to have in terms of just having the stomach for the moment?
And how is
because the big moment's coming.
And you know how it is when you're on a team. Like, how does everybody in this dugout and in that bullpen feel when that guy's on the mound with the game on the line?
We'll find out.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. And, Hoffman, he's going to continue to get opportunities like he did yesterday before he even gets there. And that's another thing Phillips pointed out, which is important. It's not who's the best on paper once you get to the playoffs. It's who's playing the best at that particular moment.
Exactly.
And if Hoffman stays healthy and keeps going, maybe he's in that much better of a mindset come the end of September or in October. That's the glass half full, but it's been a glass half full season for the Jays.
It really has.
Like, everything is broken their way.
It's amazing.
So why would you just expect it to blow up in their face now? Like, just keep going and going and going.
There's no sign it's going to.
I don't think there's any reason to. Speaking of everything breaking your way and having a dream season, I think that's a perfect way to describe our next guest and the season that she has had. We just saw at the National Bank Open, of course, in Montreal, winning the championship there. And 18 years old, on her way to the U.S. Open, going to be ranked at the U.S. Open. Maybe more importantly, throwing out the first pitch of the Blue Jay game tonight. Here she is, the Canadian Open champ, Vicky Mboko, joining us here on OverDrive. How you doing, Vicky?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well. How does that sound to you, being called a champion? You're forever a champion. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's kind of weird at first, but I mean, it has a nice ring to it. It makes me smile.
Yes, as it should. Absolutely. I mean, how often have you been reliving that whole tournament, and especially that championship point over the last week and a half?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been kind of crazy, to be honest. I mean, kind of looking back at everything and watching a little bit of the highlights from past week and kind of reliving it. It's been a pretty hectic week, but honestly, coming home and relaxing and reflecting, it's a nice feeling overall.
Vicky, there's been so much made of the way you've risen through the ranks of pro tennis so quickly. I mean, take us back to a year ago. You were ranked in the 300s in the world coming into the year. You were over on the developmental tours playing smaller events, not necessarily winning a lot of them, although you did get a streak going there. What was it like back then, and what kept your belief that you could get to this level?
Yeah, well, I mean, having to play so many matches, especially on like the Challenger Tour, kind of prepared me for this because, I mean, playing on the WTA and playing amongst the top 10 in the world, it's obviously a different feeling. And, of course, they may be a slightly better level, but I think playing those kinds of matches and having so many matches under my belt has honestly prepared me for moments like these. And, I mean, I'm really happy to compete at a higher level. And I think just coming up there and showing what I can do and having good belief in myself definitely helps as well.
So after you win, as you mentioned, you came home, you got to kind of recalibrate a little bit. You're at the Jays game tonight, throwing out the first pitch. We'll get to that momentarily. But, Cincinnati is currently ongoing, and you've played so much tennis. You're still young. You're riding a high. Was it a difficult choice to decide not to go down to Cincinnati, or was it a pretty obvious one that a break was in the best interest and just kind of soak in the win in Montreal as long as you possibly can?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was always in my plan to play Cincinnati. I've never played that tournament either, so I was really excited to go. But, of course, I never expected myself to be in the final. So that obviously kind of took a change of plans to kind of rest up. And, I mean, at the end of the day, these are all kind of, I'd say, warm-up tournaments for the Grand Slam. And, I feel like all my focus is really on U.S. Open, and it's the last Grand Slam of the year. So it'd be great that I'm fully healthy and I have full energy and put all my attention into that one.
So how does winning in Montreal change your expectation for the U.S. Open?
Well, I wouldn't say that I have like a whole expectation for myself at the U.S. Open, but I'd say winning in Montreal definitely gave me a bit more confidence. Playing against, former Grand Slam champions, of course, it's never easy, but it just shows that I can do it as well. And having played those matches, what level it takes to win those kinds of matches as well. So I think it helped me with my confidence and to get a lot of matches out of the way to kind of prepare for such a tournament.
How great would it be to bring that crowd in Montreal down in New York?
Oh, it'd be great, of course. But I know some Canadian fans will make their way down and come to support as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the crowd was incredible. And, it's always going to be patriotic whenever there's a Canadian playing, the men's side, women's side, Toronto, Montreal, whatever it is. But did you pick up at any point, like during the tournament, like a flip of the switch where it went from, okay, we're cheering for Vicky because she's Canadian to we're cheering for Vicky because we think she's actually going to win this thing? Like, did you pick up on the confidence of the crowd as your tournament continued in Montreal?
I'd say definitely. I think at some point, of course, at the start of the tournament, many people were cheering for me, but as the rounds went on, there was more and more people, and all of a sudden, I think around the quarterfinals, there was almost no seats left, I guess, in the stadium. And I saw people holding these like posters and signs of me, and they were like, "Allez, Vicky," and "Let's go." So, seeing that was really heartwarming, and I think it also had me super pumped to perform at the best I could as well.
Well, speaking of great Canadian crowds, Vicky, you're about to step in front of one tonight down at the Dome. You grew up in Burlington. What's your level of baseball enthusiasm, and how's your arm?
I'm really excited. First of all, I remember actually going to my first ever Blue Jays game about 10 years ago. So, I think it's a little bit of a full circle moment, and I'm excited to throw the first pitch. It's going to be a first for me. So I wouldn't say I'm not nervous, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. Oh, listen. Just do whatever you can to throw a strike. That's all you got to. Just get it off the mound, right? Have you been warming up at all? Is your plan to get down there and warm up a little bit, or what?
Yeah, I'll probably head over there and have some warm-up pitches, and we'll see.
There's got to be some transfer between your powerful serve and a pitch. I mean, they're kind of a similar motion, aren't they?
Yeah, it's pretty similar, so I don't think it'll be too bad.
Okay. Bring a racket out and just see what happens.
Yeah, you could serve the pitch in.
Maybe serve the pitch in.
Oh, that's a new idea, too.
Yeah, that would I think that'd go viral pretty quickly.
Great.
I don't know if the Jays would necessarily allow it, but do you know who's going to be catching tonight? Is Vladdy going to be behind the plate? Have you heard anything about who's going to be actually catching the first pitch?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. They'll surprise me, I guess. I don't know. We'll see when I get there.
Absolutely, absolutely. With Vicky Mboko. So, as you get prepared for New York, you know how different do you expect a Grand Slam to feel compared to what you just went through in Montreal?
Well, I mean, Grand Slam is kind of the highest level tournament in tennis you can possibly do. And I remember playing like the French Open and Wimbledon, and of course the vibe and the ambiance is a lot higher. Mm-hmm. I know in the States too, in New York, it's going to be much more electric, and I know there's going to be so many spectators and fans watching. So I think I'm also really excited for that.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Vicky, when you go from playing the Challenger Tour, you were playing in places like Saskatoon and, Tunisia and Croatia and all over the world. You're playing in Portugal. When you go from sort of doing that grind of playing those, relatively smaller events to playing these bigger events and now winning a very big event at the level below the Grand Slam, like, what's the biggest difference to your day-to-day life?
Well, I'd say you kind of travel more to the known places, I'd say, and like you kind of have a more clear schedule of what your tour is going to look like. So you're just playing more of the main tour level tournaments, I'd say. And I mean, I think I would say scheduling comes a lot easier. And I mean, going to a place like New York versus Saskatoon would be pretty different. So I'd say that's pretty different for me.
Yeah, New York and Saskatoon, pretty different towns.
Both nice.
Very nice towns. Very, very good people. Well, safe travels and good luck tonight. We can't wait to see what you have in store on the mound this evening. Have fun with it. And congrats on what just happened in Montreal. We're all rooting for you once you get down in New York. So best of luck, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much.
You got it. There's Vicky Mboko, National Bank Open champion, Canadian champion, and on her way to the U.S. Open. And rested, healthy, ready to go, high expectations. And, slams are a different beast, and Sabalenka's going to be there. And
yet, there's a lot of stories of the unheralded, relatively unknown teenage prodigy that shows up and makes noise. And Vicky Mboko looks like a pretty good bet to do just that.
Big time. Yep. Especially, these Canadians over the last decade with Jeannie Bouchard and
Bianca
Andreescu and Leila Fernandez and now Vicky Mboko. Why not? Let's get down there and see what happens.
You talk about toughness, man. You look at the places she had to play. The crazy geography. You're flying all over the world, and not on a big, like, it's expensive stuff, right?
Yeah, it's a grind.
The big grind. You got to go all over the place. Saskatoon, Slovenia, Germany, small town France. Georgia. I mean, you're talking about Manchester, Portugal. She's been all over the world trying to kind of climb the ranks as a world 300 something, and then to get to now be world 25.
Incredible.
It's an incredible rise.
And it really is. There's such a difference between like winning and almost winning.
Yes.
Because if you almost win, you're probably in Cincinnati.
Right.
Like you lose like a heartbreaking 3-set battle in the semis, you're waving to people and you're on your way to Cincinnati.
Because you can't afford to skip it.
Can't afford to skip it.
Yeah.
You win, you get all those points, you get all that money, and you can put your feet up a little bit and relax and try to, and what you got to think people around her are saying, like, we got to capitalize on this celebrity. It's quick.
Yeah.
And hopefully it continues for the next 10 years on tour or 15, 20 years. But
well, that was the thing with
the household name right now.
Yeah, that was the thing with Jeannie Bouchard when she made that Wimbledon final, becoming the first Canadian to do that, 2014. It was like She signed endorsement deals worth millions within months.
She made a fortune, way more money off the court than on the court.
Life-changing stuff.
Yeah, and Andreescu, listen, they earned it. They played great, and Vicky Mboko has earned whatever is coming her way. She just, supplied us with one of the really coolest original stories we've seen in a long time. But what comes with that is generally a lot of endorsement opportunities. And you got to take advantage, man.
You got to.
But you also got to make sure that you keep playing and keep grinding and keep working. I'm not saying that Vicky's not doing that. I'm sure she is.
But the bottom line, the facts are the facts. Like Eugenie Bouchard, Bianca Andreescu, they both had incredible high points to their careers that would be the envy of almost anybody who's ever played the sport, right?
Yep.
I mean, obviously, Andreescu gets it over the finish line at a U.S. Open in 2019. Bouchard makes it to a Wimbledon final. But the facts are they had a difficult time sustaining that level after that happened, right? The high point remained the high point.
That's right.
And it remains so for both of them. So I think it speaks to the grind it takes to get to the top of tennis at the global level, because it's really hard to get there, and then it's even harder to stay there.
Yeah, to stay, it's a real test. Like of mental fortitude, of pure talent, work ethic, breaks,
injury prevention,
just who you play and when you play them, the bracket, there's so many different things that have to fall in line. But it is really cool that Vicky Mboko is on her way down there, and she will be ranked at the U.S. Open.
That's incredible.
Pretty cool story considering what you just listed and where she's been in the past 12 to 18 months. All right, he's not in Saskatoon, but he's in Edmonton. Luke's out there for Elks Argos tonight. Two worst teams in football going at it in Edmonton tonight.
Love it.
Luke will be sidelined. So we'll catch up with him. We'll get his take on the game tonight. We're getting closer to the beginning of the NFL season. We'll get his take on that. And, what's going to happen with the Argos next summer? It's a big story. The World Cup's coming. The Argos are going to have to put 3 games on the road. 3 games on the road, not at BMO Field. They're not really staying in Toronto or really the greater Toronto area. So we'll catch up with Luke and get his take on that and what kind of reaction we might expect from the Argos as we get closer to that next summer. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. I do the same thing. I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to
All right, Luke Willson coming up. He is in Edmonton ahead of Elks Argos tonight. Get to some Deer Hazy B in about an hour. And Eddie Olczyk coming up. Pucks and Ponies with Eddie O in about a half an hour. It's going to be great ahead of the Kings play tomorrow. And still no McDavid contract. Like, Luke's out in Edmonton. I have to believe that's the daily conversation out there.
Probably
like, no one's talking about the Elks.
The only
They stink.
conversation.
Yeah, like, you're not talking about the football team. They're terrible. So, if I'm in Edmonton right now, the only thing I'm wondering is, when is McDavid going to sign? And I'm not hearing anything. Like, some of the reports are like, well, maybe it's 2 years, could be 4, could be 8. It's like, all right, well, what's it going to be? What's the number going to look like? No one's got a clue what this guy's going to do.
That's the intriguing thing.
That's what kind of makes it amazing. He might sign an 8-year deal. And if you're in Edmonton, you're begging for that, clearly. I mean, that would be an incredible sign of...
Throw a freaking parade if you did that.
Now, there may be a contingency that comes with that and an understanding. I'm going to sign for 8. If I ever ask for a trade, you're going to trade me wherever I want to be traded.
Yeah. I mean, his former agent does run the team.
That is very true. Jeff Jackson. Yeah. So, it's going to happen, I think, at some point. But maybe just prior to kickoff tonight, just burying the Elks Argos buzz for the McDavid signing. That would be so disappointing. Here's Luke Willson in beautiful Edmonton, Alberta. You hearing anything on McDavid out there?
Boys, I'm going to be honest. I do believe that the biggest topic of conversation has been McDavid, but it's currently 12 degrees and raining in the middle of August, and the app says feels like 8. So I think most people at Edmonton are wondering, how is this a summer day?
Yeah,
I mean, it's doom and gloom out here right now. I'm beside myself.
That is really disappointing, man. It's 30 and beautiful here right now. Like, it's so nice. It's so nice in Toronto. Yeah.
Must be nice. I got to navigate Pearson this morning with the big Air Canada strike just so I could head to Edmonton.
Yeah.
And I don't think sports are great in Edmonton right now, That's the general energy I get. I know obviously the Oilers had a good run, but not winning the Cup. You mentioned McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
And although I think it'll be a tight one tonight, the Elks have had their fair share of struggles this season. Self-inflicted, I might add. But they've obviously not a great record currently.
Well, that's it. I mean, both teams have 2 wins. And I don't know. I mean, if you're either coach, can you give a pep talk that if you find a way to win tonight, that means you're launching back into playoff contention? Or if you're being honest with yourself, is it someone has to win and it doesn't really matter because these 2 teams stink?
So I'll tell you this, Hayes. The strange one, I'll start with Edmonton. The strange one, I would say that to a degree, not this bad, but I was part of kind of this messaging my year in Detroit. It's very hard to buy into whatever your coach is saying when they go out and jam you early in the year with roster decisions and who's playing and who's not. Like, if you're just an objective football fan, Cody Fajardo should have started for this team. That if you're trying to win now, I should say. But clearly the Elks had, different ideas when starting Trey Ford, and perhaps it's because he's Canadian, perhaps it's because they promised him. I've heard a million things. But as an adult, this isn't like high school ball, You're putting your life on the line out here, injuries, et cetera. A lot of guys move their family in this area. It leaves a pretty sour taste when, you start the year like you did, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, this has been a failed experiment. Sorry about that. We were a 2-win team. Here's a better chance at winning football games. So it's hard when you talk about a pregame speech, and again, I kind of equate that to some of my time in Detroit. When you can sit here and say that you're blue in the face for trying to win, but in Detroit, I believe we traded Golden Tate week 6, who was our best receiver. It's like, well, I don't think we're really trying to win right now if we're going to trade away Golden Tate. So there's it's a bit of a strange. Again, I'm not in the Elks locker room, but I can imagine it's a bit strange in that sense. Now, the funny one is Dinwiddie, the head coach of the Argos, might be my favorite head coach in the league. This guy's just raw emotion, very blunt. He's very honest. And to be honest, it makes sense that he's won a couple Grey Cups here. this guy's the man, and I think he's pretty frustrated with how they performed. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know if it'll be tonight, if this team starts to right the ship a little bit, because they've really dropped some bad games. I'm not saying they should be a powerhouse, but Arbuckle has played a lot better recently, and they should. Their record is not as bad. Excuse me, they're better than what their record is showing, in my opinion.
Well, what did you make of Dinwiddie, Luke, going out and saying that the Argos have too many pretenders on the team?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great.
You do, yeah. What would you like? You'd like that in the locker room? How would you interpret that in the locker room if you're a player?
So, and I got to be careful. I know you guys have kind of joked about this on how I say this, but like the CFL is a very unique league, and the NFL can really weed out pretenders just strictly based on how much time we are required to be in the facility. When you've got eyes on a guy 9-10 hours a day and you're seeing how he operates in the weight room, you're seeing how his diet is, you're seeing, we were getting tracked with sleep scores the one year. Like, they pretty much have their fingerprints on everything you do. And besides that, like, you have a reputation, but it starts in the draft process, where when you don't draft Americans, which I'm not suggesting you draft Americans, but when half of your team is not drafted because of the rule situation, and you get 1, potentially 2 days off a week, depending on the funky schedule, and you're only in there 4.5 hours a day, I get where he's, got to kind of publicly call guys out, because I think it's more of a challenge, to the guys that potentially are not doing everything he wants, where I find that in the NFL, you can kind of figure that all out yourself, just because guys are in there all day, and they'll show their true colors, if that makes sense.
With Luke Willson, Argos Elks tonight, Friday Night Football, CFL on TSN. Luke's out there in Edmonton. And the news broke today that the Argos next season are going to lose out on 3 home games at BMO.
Hey, I'm so glad you asked me this.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more beside myself. I'm ready to go through a wall. I'm not even like a huge Argos. I get into it with the Argos people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But this is it's insanity, Hayes.
Well,
you're telling me that they're
dude,
it's
the World Cup. It's the World Cup.
Okay, I get that.
The Argos are not touching BMO Field when the World Cup comes to town.
I'm not saying they should, Hayes, but imagine any other league of being like, hey, your arch rival is Hamilton. You're going to go play a home game in their stadium.
I know.
You're going to go play Winnipeg and call it a home game. Like, I'm telling you right now, okay, even if it's 3 games, go to Queens for one of them. I was just there. It seats 8,000. It's a very intimate setting. That could be a cool atmosphere. Go to Western. Okay, I believe you can get that thing up to 10,000. What are they drawing? 12,000 a game anyways?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, blow up Alumni Stadium there at Western and have a game in London. Like, London is a very, very good football crowd. Yeah, it's like, come on.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think it's a missed opportunity.
At BMO.
Yes, they can't. They can't
totally
play there.
Get that.
Yeah, they can't play there. Yeah.
But you can't go to Hamilton, your rivals, and you can't go to Saskatchewan and Winnipeg and play those teams and claim it's a home game or whatever the situation's going to be, and expect your fans to be happy about it.
No, the fans are not.
Issue.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and again, this is beside. Like, there's nothing the Argos can do. The truth is that BMO was built for the soccer team, and when the Argos went in there, it was a huge fight. Soccer TFC fans were going nuts that they didn't want to share it. And at that time, I said, "Shut up! You're lucky you got the stadium. Mm-hmm. You're not the Leafs. You're not the Raptors. You're not the Blue Jays. You guys should be sharing that. It's a beautiful stadium, and it's perfect for soccer and football. But both sides hate each other, and they're both like, it's ridiculous." But the truth is, the Argos they're lucky they get to play at BMO. They used to play at the Skydome. It was a disaster when they were there. You think it looks bad when they're not selling tickets at BMO? When there were 4,000 people at the Dome, it was a mess. So it's a great setup that they get to play there. This is a rare scenario. The World Cup's coming to town. They're playing at BMO. You can't play here. So that's just the reality. I agree with what you're saying. I think it is a missed opportunity for the Argos and for the CFL to try to find a different place to play within the city, ideally, if you can. I said play at, Varsity Stadium, U of T. It's right in the middle of the city. It'd be amazing. Go up to York University and treat it differently. Understand that it's a different experience. 3 games that are not going to be at a pro level in terms of all the facilities and all the infrastructure, but try to make them pop in a different way. Be creative. And I totally agree with you there. I think it's a massively missed opportunity to just say, go to Winnipeg, go to Saskatchewan, go over here because, they have the pro infrastructure that's going to make everyone else happy. I think it's a missed opportunity for fans to have something very, very unique and try to, make some lemonade out of the lemons that they're being handed here.
That's all. That's the exact vibe I'm on, Hayes. Again, I under no circumstance am I surprised that the World Cup is bumping anyone. The World Cup is the World Cup, no matter what the situation is. I get that. Yeah. But like you said, it's just like, and as a guy right now who's a bit involved in like the youth community of football in Ontario, like that, that would be there's so many options. UFP would be really cool. Maybe get some of the students out there if you can try and push that agenda. Be a really cool, and that's a cool stadium, like you said.
It is
right? In the heart
really
of
cool
downtown.
Stadium, really cool.
Yeah,
but it's small.
If you're willing
I
to
get
take
it
the
small.
2-hour
I get it
drive,
small, but still.
Yeah, if you're willing to take the 2-hour drive, go to London.
Yep.
Like that place can be rocking when it's done right. And is it a full-blown professional stadium? Absolutely not. But again, you got to think that Argos fans would appreciate that a little more than being like, hey, you want to come watch a game? Like, fly to Regina. And I know I've had a couple of run-ins with Regina here, but it's not an easy.
No one's going from Toronto out there.
Hey.
I can tell you right now, nobody's going. No one's flying to Regina to watch the Argos play out there.
But to be the devil's advocate, Luke, from a player perspective, like how do you feel about the idea of going to a college facility as opposed to going to another stadium that's actually in the league to play a home game that obviously won't be a home game, but there'll be a crowd there in Hamilton, there'll be a crowd in Winnipeg, there'll be a crowd in Regina. I mean, it'll be a CFL game with all the CFL trappings, except for the fact that you'll be playing as the home team in a different place.
Yeah, so it kind of works both ways. It depends to me as an ex-player how much your team, the organizations are willing to put into like making things comfortable. So, for example, like Western, okay, they have decent locker rooms. Is it a pro locker room? No. But that being said, like I don't know every CFL facility, but I remember like, for example, going to the Coliseum. I believe I played in the first NFL game that the Coliseum had the year that before the Rams had SoFi built. And since whatever, it was like the first game they had. And like, it sucked. I'll be honest with you. The locker room was a bloodbath. You could barely move in there. It was I'm pretty sure it was the Rams' first game there. So it was a very, very early season game. It was 1,000,000 degrees. But that being said, like the trade-off is getting to say that I played a pro game in the Coliseum was kind of fun. I'll be honest, like, pretty unique experience. So it's like, even the year I did play at the University of Minnesota, the year it was freezing cold, one of the coldest games ever, but the year that Minnesota had to play there due to the stadium stuff. And like, is it the best from a locker room experience? No, but it is a little like, off the beaten path, kind of fun. Like, hey, we're going to a college vibe. Let's make the best of it. That being said, in both scenarios, the team that I was with really made things very, very comfortable. And so that helped. It wasn't
that's
like,
a
hey,
big
we're going
part of
into
it.
this very bare bones operation.
Right. The hospitality that the team is going to have to make sure they supply, and the league is going to have to make sure they supply, will be significant. And it's tough, man. It's a completely random scenario. There's the World Cup's coming here. It'll never be back. You're never going to be in this situation again unless there's an issue with BMO at some point for whatever reason. But anyway, that's next year's problem. Was that game in Minnesota, was that when Bud Grant came out in like a T-shirt, and was he a part? Was that the game when did you guys win like 10-9 or something like that, or what game was that?
There were two that year there. We won the first one so, and then the second one was the 10-9 win where Blair Walsh missed the 29-yard field goal.
Yes.
With like
that was Bud Grant, man. Bud Grant came out in a golf shirt, like T-shirt. It was like minus 15 or whatever. Right. It was absurd weather.
Yeah. So what was crazy was I was actually concussed and was left home due to concussion symptoms. But the game before that, which was a couple weeks prior, was also freezing, not as cold. But, Hayes, you would go out on the field, and, like, if you had any sort of moisture on your skin, it would immediately freeze. Like, your eyes get watery. I'm like, what's in my eye? And it's like a piece of ice from, like, my eyes watering. And then 4 weeks later, it was even colder. I mean, it was blistering that year. So the idea that Bud Grant was out there at golf shirt, it's pretty impressive.
It's amazing. Yeah, I'm looking at Bud Grant. He's from Superior, Wisconsin.
Oh, my God.
You know how cold it probably gets in Superior, Wisconsin. Anyway, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I want to before we let you go, Luke, I got to get to the important stuff here. I've been doing some scouting for the coming pick season here on OverDrive, and Hayes is very happy to know that Al's brother is entered in no less than 4 fantasy leagues. Was thinking about 5. He is gathering tremendous information. There is research being compiled. How scared are you?
So I'm not scared because, as you know, we had an absolute dominant Super Bowl performance, playoff and Super Bowl. Dominant, which I'm still waiting for our hats.
Yeah, I got them.
But
looked at them this morning.
Okay, like that. I will say I do have a video. I'm not going to say much else. Okay. But I think there's a little bit of turmoil between Al's bro and Hayes.
Whoa.
A very, very close friend and colleague of Al's bro. I have it on video. I'll share it during the time being. May have made a recording for me speaking about Brian Hayes, and it's not flattering.
It sounds like TMZ,
dude. I think there's going to be some drama.
Al's brother's taking a run at me.
Wow.
I hope it's true. I can't wait to respond because I am supporting the fact that all this guy does is play fantasy sports.
Exactly.
And I think it's going to be very beneficial. But I will turn on him very quickly. Very quickly. So I hope
it's going to be a great season. I can't wait.
Oh, what a tease, man.
I can't wait.
2 weeks out. All right, buddy. Enjoy yourself in Edmonton. Stay warm. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
There he is, Luke Willson, our TSN football analyst, CFL on TSN tonight. Feels like 8 degrees in Edmonton right now.
Oh, my God.
That's tough.
That is very tough.
That's very uncalled for.
It's far north, man. I spent the summer out there one time. It doesn't get dark till like almost midnight. You realize you're far north.
Yeah, those northern lights, man, they're up for a long time.
I remember playing golf at like 10:30 at night, and it wasn't even close to dusk.
Yeah, it's so great.
And you're like, what am I doing out here? This is nuts.
So great. But then conversely, you go out there in January, and it's 2:00, and it's pitch black, probably.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. Oh no, that goes without saying.
It goes the opposite way.
And then the point being, mid-August, the summer's over.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
exactly. It's hockey season now.
Yeah.
Let's get going. All right, Eddie Olczyk coming up. Pucks and Ponies with Eddie O in about 15. Dear Hazy B as well. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
To Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Yes, she's a 360 all the way around. Yeah,
Melody Friday brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. Enjoy $15 lunch at BP where you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and you'll get it all in 20 minutes or less. A fast lunch doesn't have to be fast food. See you for a $15 fast lunch at your local Boston Pizza. Jays Rangers tonight. More on that into the next hour. Our best bets tonight will be on that game. Chris Bassett lights out at home. Doesn't lose at home.
It just doesn't. Unbelievable.
Yeah, stats are crazy when he's
nuts.
at the Rogers Center.
He's twice as good at home. I mean, explain that one.
Going up against DeGrom, he's going to have to continue it tonight, you would think. Right?
He's been pretty good.
Yeah, he's been, his whole career. Like, I saw someone putting together a list today of, like, the great what-ifs in sports and all that. And DeGrom was included in that. And he's had really bad injuries, but he had a 3 or 4 year run with the Mets that was absurd how good it was.
Yeah.
Absurd how good it was.
He was as good as it got there for a while.
Yeah. And, if you extrapolate that over a 10 or 12 year, 15-year career, then maybe you're talking one of the all-time greats. Well, you would be.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd be talking the greatest.
He won back-to-back Cy Youngs in 18, 19, then, third in the voting in 20. And,
famously got no run support.
Yeah. Led the league in strikeouts a couple times. I mean, he was just as good as he led the league in ERA.
Did it all.
Once. I mean,
big payday down in Texas, was hurt, but he's healthy now. He's on the mound tonight. So more on that into the final hour. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Happy Friday, Canada, and welcome into SportsCenter. It's Sarah Davis with you. The Blue Jays, they continue to steamroll ahead to the postseason, sitting first in the American League with a 5-game lead in the AL East as they continue their 6-game homestand and open a weekend series against the Rangers tonight in Toronto. And before we head down to the Dome, let's get into the storylines. So no Blue Jay has been hotter than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He has 4 home runs in his last 8 games, and Toronto is 14-6 this year when he goes deep. He's also been clutch in the 7th inning, and later he's batting .323. That's tied for the 5th best in baseball. Help is on the way as well. Shane Bieber will start for AAA Buffalo tonight, and George Springer
for us, I mean, we played Team Canada, I think, 10 or 12 times that year. And in the last game we won right before we headed over, we hammered them in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I think we beat them 10-4. And then our first game of the tournament was against the Maple Leafs, and we ended up losing 4-2 in game one of the tournament. So it was downhill from there, unfortunately, for us. But I mean, it helped prepare me for the National Hockey League, because I was still a kid, and here I am playing a year before the National Hockey League, and I was playing against men for a whole year. That helped me prepare for my NHL career. So I mean, it was a great experience. Obviously, it was disappointing, but those opening ceremonies in Sarajevo were, I mean, it was unbelievable. Like, it was just like, wow, here I am 4 years later after, watching the Olympics in 1980 as a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old, and thinking like, wow, I'd love to, play there when I'm old, like when I'm 20 or 21. And here I am as a 17-year-old. So it was a great time of my life, and never forget it. I will be going back for the Olympics for NBC. I'm gonna be working for NBC in the States, so I'm looking forward to going over there and being a part of the coverage.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you're going to be covering the big race, the $1 million Kings Plate tomorrow, Eddie, and 13 horses at Woodbine, a mile and a quarter. And I'm looking at the morning lines here. It's a filly, No Time, that has been installed as the 7-2 morning line favorite. Where do you stand on No Time, and what do you make of this race?
Yeah, I got time for the filly. She looks like she breathes different air, and fillies have had great success running in the plate, whether the Kings or Queen, and it's a race where a lot of horse players and handicappers don't think that there's a lot of speed in the race, meaning they're going to go a mile and a quarter, and when they do break, they think it's going to be a little bit more of a slower pace. And I'll just let everybody know, when they're watching or tuning in tomorrow, is like they'll give a bunch of times in the corner of the screen, or Robert Geller, the race caller at Woodbine, will give some fractions, quarter mile, half mile. When you hear him say 3/4 of a mile, or you see the split of a minute and 10, a minute and 11, minute and 12, if you see it in that a minute 11 range, like 1:11 and 2 or 1:11 and 4, they're going a pretty good clip. But a lot of people feel like they're going to go maybe 1:12, 1:13. So what that means is, the slower they go, the better it is for the horses that are a little bit closer. In No Time, the filly for Mark Cassidy and the Hall of Famer Johnny Velasquez, coming up north of the border to ride again, because he rode her in the Woodbine Oaks, which won very impressively, can really be tactical and does want a target in front. So I think the speed of the race is going to come from the rail, the 1 Mancetti, and the 13 Ashley's Archer. I think that's where the speed's going to come from, and I think No Time's going to sit there. And I like the 4-horse Scorching. I think Scorching could maybe trip out and sit in behind the speed of the race and try to make one run. But I think you have to use the filly, the 10, No Time, no question on your tickets, because I think she's just that good.
Okay, I'll be up there, Eddie. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, that's the beauty of the King's Plate, is like you got so many different races to kind of put yourself in a good headspace, right? Like
Get yourself a bankroll, Bri. Get yourself some padded that bankroll.
That's right. That's right, man. And that's my intention. And I mean, do you cap any of the other races? I'm sure you are. I mean, the King's Plate's clearly the number one race, and it's going to be a blast once we get there. But it's a fun event, man. I mean, I know you've done it a lot over the years. You've been to all the biggest ones, the Derby, all the Triple Crowns. But man, the crowd's big. It's an awesome spot. Woodbine's got some cachet to it. Back in your Leaf days, I mean, it's cool.
It's awesome. They're ready. They're ready. I mean, the card tomorrow for wagering purposes, it's deep. There's a lot of class, and there are plenty of ways to go. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm going to go 4, 10, 11 in the plate, just so everybody knows. I'm going to go with the 4 Scorching. That will be my pick. But you could go, honestly, like you could go 5 or 6 deep in the plate, and you could still lose, because I think if it cranks up to be a race where all of a sudden the jockeys are sitting there going, well, geez, there's really not a lot of speed in this race. So I'm going to maybe, send a little bit, and I'm going to get a little bit closer. So maybe they do go faster, and then that opens up the door for, Notorious Gangster or Runaway Again, or, maybe a bomber like the 9-horse Watsonville Red, who I'm going to use just in case underneath, because I think it has every chance to be about a 50-1 shot, the 9-horse. But I think the value is great. I mean, they're putting on an unbelievable show tomorrow. I know there's still some tickets available, so I encourage people to, if they got supposed to be a beautiful day tomorrow, to get out to Woodbine. But I would say in the 7th race, Brian, you were asking me for, maybe another play in there. I mean, that's the E.P. Taylor. I mean, a grade 1, $750,000. They're going to go 1.25 miles on the turf course. The legendary Charlie Appleby, the trainer, is coming overseas for Godolphin, and a filly by the name of Diamond Rain will probably be second choice, because the 4-horse, the filly, She Feels Pretty, she's dynamite. I mean, she's been a favorite, I think, in 9 straight races, and just got beaten her last race in New York at Saratoga. I'm going to try to beat her. I'm going to try to beat her with the shipper Diamond Rain. So if you want to play a little 3-4 box there, if you want to try to get the exact order to build that bankroll for the King's Plate, which will be the 10th race tomorrow on the card here at Woodbine.
Beautiful. Diamond Rain, I'm on it. 100%. I love that Charlie Appleby's coming over.
Make it rain, Brian. Make it rain, Dave. Make it rain.
Oh, that's our plan. That's our plan. And, we've talked before about, weather and trying to cap with all that kind of stuff, Eddie. I'm curious how the heat factors in, man, because it's going to be scorching tomorrow. It's going to be hot. Like, how does that factor into the way maybe the ponies run and, the jockeys play it?
And how the track plays, too, because they'll be on the Tapeta, the all-weather surface. So, sometimes when it does get a little, humid, it gets a little hot, sometimes the track favors horses that can be a little bit closer. So if you are watching every step of the way tomorrow, like I will be, you see how the track is playing, and you watch other races. Doesn't matter the class, just watch the races and see, well, geez, I only see horses that get out to the lead and go wire to wire. There are no horses coming from way back. So that's something else to, take care of it. But look, they got watering stations on the track. These horses are taken care of extremely well. And, obviously hydration for athletes, and these are the equine type, they'll be certainly hydrated, but it does play into it. I mean, I don't care what sport you're playing. I mean, whether you're playing, pucks, or you're playing baseball, or you're a jockey, or you're, you're in the King's Plate. I mean, you got to make sure that, you're not just showing up the day of the race and making sure that these equine athletes are, drinking water and staying hydrated. Now that starts 2, 3, 4, 5 days prior. So it does have an effect on certain horses. It does. And the last time I checked, these horses can't tell people, their trainers and their jockeys, that they're not feeling good, or, something's not right. Like, they just go out there and do what they're bred to do. So, we'll see how that all plays tomorrow, but it's going to be a gorgeous day here at Woodbine.
Yep, sure will be. King's Plate tomorrow up at Woodbine. He's Eddie Olczyk. Eddie, I'm sure you got your ace suit for tomorrow, man. It's you got to bring the best, right?
You know what, Brian, I think I might be cracking out one that maybe I wore here for the beloved Leaf.
Yes.
Back in the late '80s. Believe it or not, I could still fit into it. I mean, believe it or not.
I love it.
Vintage.
No, we might have to butter me up to get into it.
Okay, we can do that.
I got to get look at. Tomorrow's my birthday. My wife told me this is the suit you're wearing, and I went, yes, honey, that is the suit that I'm wearing.
Attaboy.
So we'll give Diana Olczyk, the lovely and talented, for 7 years. My wife, will give her the primary assist.
Nice.
Pull it off tomorrow. But look at it. I better give out a couple of winners. That's all that matters.
That's
tomorrow.
what matters. Yeah, and for nostalgic purposes, do you head through the gardens before you head up, or Lakeshore Arena or something like that? Or like that's how you really have a throwback.
I'm back at Bay and Bloor, where I used to hang my hat my first year in Toronto when I had the 42 Gs.
Yes.
So I might have to just do a quick little flyby, stop at McDonald's, have a vanilla shake and an apple pie, and get to it.
Absolutely. Pop into the Madison maybe
that's like
for
an
one.
Old dog. That's like an old dog pregame.
That is. That's how. Hey, he scored 41 at the best of his career. It's probably the exact same diet, same plan, everything, man. That's the beauty of it. He is Eddie Olczyk. He'll be up at the King's Plate at Woodbine tomorrow. Cannot wait for it. And best of luck. Thank you for the details and all the info and all that kind of stuff. We always love having you on. Thank you, Eddie.
Keep up the great work. Thanks for having me, guys.
You
Talk
got
to
it.
soon.
There is Eddie Olczyk. He'll be going to the Olympic Games. That's pretty cool.
That's great.
For NBC. And, I'm curious, like, how that's going to play out. You know, the NBC, it's so massive. Like, they've been promoting the Olympics. Basically, they go summer games, and then they take, like, 6 months off, then they start promoting the winter games.
Oh,
They take about 6 months off, then they start promoting the summer games. The next summer games are in L.A.
L.A.
So they are going to be promoting it during the winter games.
Oh,
But
yeah.
don't forget, in 2 years, we're in L.A. But NBC goes so heavy for the Olympics, as you could expect. And the same thing will apply up here with CBC, TSN, Sportsnet, kind of this big consortium. But I'm curious, you know, what it's going to look like with the NHL players back in terms of how it's covered.
Yeah.
You know, because in 18 and 22, the men's side, the hockey, it didn't pop.
I was there, man. It wasn't
popping.
Tough to get enthusiastic
Yeah.
about it.
Like, you got McDavid at his first Olympic Games and Sid at his last Olympic Games.
That's the beauty of
It's
it.
going to be pretty cool.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, you could spend time sort of lamenting what you missed, because we did miss something, right? The fact
sure.
that they skipped those, or you could just celebrate what you got. And what we got here is a chance at some, you know, iconic moments, right? And that's all you can ask for. Like, McDavid gets a chance to have his Sidney Crosby golden goal moment.
Yeah.
Or if it's not McDavid, somebody else step up and make it happen for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know who's going to make the team. We know Sid's going to be on it. I think if he's healthy, Drew Doughty will be there. I believe he's going to be one of the 8 defensemen.
I think so.
So there'll be 2 guys who have Olympics experience on your team. You know, both of them were there in 10 and 14, which is pretty incredible that we're getting into 2026, and we're going to have 2 guys on the Canadian team that have 2 gold medals.
Yeah.
And they have not been at the Olympic Games in 12 years once they finally get back there. That's pretty incredible and a testament to the greatness of those 2 guys and just the longevity of their careers. Like, Sid's a lock. He's already on it.
Oh, yeah.
Doughty, again, it's not a guarantee, but I think he'll end up on that team.
I think so.
But what other country can say that? I mean, I don't. I mean, we'd have to go through the list. I don't think any of the Americans would have been there in 14. None of them.
I think so. No.
So they have a completely fresh start. Sweden, Hedman might have been there in 14. Carlson would have been if he's on the team. I mean, I'm sure we could find different guys. But
there'll be a couple, but
still,
it's a whole new world, man.
Yeah,
it's a new generation, and we've been waiting to see them. And I guess we got a little taste of it at the 4 Nations, which was fun,
big time.
But this is a different beast, right? Like, the Olympics is a different beast.
It's a different level of magnitude, importance. It's a different style of play as well. I mean, that's a part of it, you know, that, again, I think favors the Canadians, quite frankly. Like, the Americans, it was rah-rah, Kachucks, we're going to throw hits, we're going to fight, we're going to drag you into the war. That doesn't apply with IOC rules.
Yeah.
Double IHF rules. Those were NHL games being played in Montreal and Boston. That's not coming
There
to
will
Italy.
be 3 fights to start the game.
That's not happening. You want to throw a big hit, they might throw you out of the game.
Yeah.
They don't like it.
Well, they get that late hit rule, right, where they do penalize you for hitting beyond once the puck's gone, man, you can't hit people. And you got to be careful with that one.